Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning on this special edition of a live stream here. I'm actually in the studio right now with Skylar Teddington. I'm going to bring her up for a second here, what we're doing today is we're basically reviewing. We're going to kind of go over a number of resources and financial assistance and other assistance that's available for our military service members, our federal civilian employees in our viewing area, and their family members as this government shutdown rolls on. So
there's a lot of resources out there. This entire government shutdown, how long has it been since then? I think around.
So this is day. I think we're in day 11 right now, technically. So it's the 10th. It started on the 1st. This is technically into day 11 of the government shutdown. So what we're actually going to do today is we're going to review a few things, probably over the next, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to review a few things here. Let me pull this graphic up real quick, and this will kind of show the order of events that we're going to talk about today. So, again, this is a live stream specifically focused on all of the resources that we've been covering already. So most of this has already been covered on our different news broadcasts over the last week and a half since the government shutdown has been going on. You can find all of these resources on our website at kswo.com on the military tab. We just actually refreshed that article today, and we provided some additional resources, which we'll talk about today as well, and I'll talk about those with Skylar, specifically to some of the local resources available here in Lawton, Fort Sill, specifically in Southwest Oklahoma. So how this will work over the next 15 to 20 minutes is we're going to talk service member specific assistance and resources available for service members. Then we're going to talk into some of the services that are available to our federal civilian employees of federal workforce, both the ones, because everybody is not getting paid right now. So whether you're a federal employee that's currently working without pay or a federal employee that's furloughed without pay, there are some resources available. Unfortunately, not as many as what's available on for the service member side. And then we'll talk some local resources, then other assistance, and then we'll round it out. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and pull up our initial graphic here that we're going to talk about. So number one, we're going to focus first on military service members in their families, and we've talked about a number of financial assistance mechanisms or programs that are available. So each branch actually has some type of relief organization. I'm an Army retiree. In the Army, it's called Army Emergency Relief. And then we'll talk about the others on the next page. But each one of these relief organizations, they're for service members, and the programs always exist, right? They're always available for 0% interest loans. So what they're specifically doing for these relief organizations for the government shutdown and service members that are affected, because specific to our service members, their mid-month pay date is October 15th. We're going into a holiday weekend with Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day. The federal holiday's on Monday. Most military service members are actually already have a training holiday today. So there's a training holiday today. Federal holidays on Monday. Quite frankly, don't anticipate anything getting resolved, and we at this point in time believe that there's going to be a delay in pay for our military service members of the pay date of the 15th. These financial service member specific, the branch specific support provides 0% interest loans are offered by each one of the branch's relief organizations. Each one is slightly different, but it's basically up to one net paycheck up to roughly around $6,000. Repayment is completed within 30 days after back pay is received. And the one thing I do want to point out I know this is specific to the Army Emergency Relief, and it's probably similar for the other ones as well. Army Emergency Relief actually requires a soldier's chain of command to sign off on the need for that loan specifically. And all service members that need assistance can apply online. I'm going to flip to the next screen here. So these are the programs that we have been talking about on air over the last week and a half. The first one is Army Emergency Relief. That's specifically in our viewing area. That's really for our soldiers and their family members that are assigned to Fort Sill. There's also the Air Force Aid Society. All of these are basically parallel organizations. They're all similar. They're just branch specific. So the Air Force Aid Society is for Air Force and Space Force personnel. Again, provides the same 0% interest loan up to basically a net pay amount, and it's $6,000. There's for our Marines and any Navy personnel in the area. Specifically, we have Marines on Fort Sill. You can go to the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. And I'm not sure if we have any Coast Guard folks, at least in our viewing area, but I mean, it's possible. And there's the Coast Guard Mutual Assistance right there. So I'm going to flip us back on camera. I will pause. And Skylar, what do you think about these programs? I know you're just kind of learning about these. And any questions from the civilian side you would have on these programs that we could answer?
Honestly, I don't really have many questions, but I will say I think that it's a really good opportunity for service members who, will most likely be feeling those effects in the next or upcoming week, especially like you said, October 15th. That is just, I think, less than a week away.
It is just around the corner. It's next Wednesday, unfortunately. So we're going to move on. So the next one that we're specifically going to talk about is we're actually going to talk about some of this assistance for our federal employees. The one thing that is a little bit frustrating about this is our federal civilian employees. They don't, excuse me, I had to, my mic went off there for a second. Our federal civilian employees just don't have the level of resources available that our service members have.
Struggling to find some,
So a couple things here. So the Federal Employee Education Assistance and Assistance Fund, FEEA.org, they normally provide some assistance. There are some restrictions with reference to the furlough, and quite frankly, doing some research on what they even provide, they can provide like a one-time grant, and it's only $100. So just not a lot of resources there. What FEEA is recommending is that if you're a civilian employee that has been furloughed, to basically apply for state unemployment benefits, and that is authorized to apply for state unemployment benefits. So for our viewing area, you see the link on the screen. So Oklahoma unemployment benefits, and then you have the state of Texas unemployment benefits for those of our viewers that are in North Texas that are federal employees. We were initially told that there would be some type of like a streamlined process for this for federal employees that were on furlough. Unfortunately, I've just gotten some feedback from several people that, folks that I know that are federal employees that have been furloughed, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's a streamlined case. So, is the government shutdown continues? I'm sure we'll get some feedback from some of those folks, and we're going to reach out, to in a minimum to the state of Oklahoma, the unemployment office, to kind of get some feedback from them next week to kind of see what the process is. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to some of the other assistance, and again, this is moving on to the specifically national banks. So some financial assistance during the shutdown. So these are programs that are offered by military banks that are typically inherently do business with military personnel and the defense industry. So right now, the key players in the national level banks and federal credit unions are USAA, the Navy Federal Credit Union, PenFed, so Pentagon Federal Credit Union, and First Command Financial Services. You can see their website on the screen. Their websites are listed on the screen right now. Specifically those, so they will provide 0% interest loans. Kind of the kicker here, though, is it's existing customers and typically requires that their paycheck had already been previously direct deposited. There are some additional restrictions applied. Some of the feedback that we've gotten is that some of these actually require a hard credit check, which again, it's another kind of a step that you have to work through if you want to get this financial assistance, but they are available. If you are a customer of USAA, Navy Federal Credit Union, Pentagon Federal Credit Union, First Command Financial Services, I would recommend, and you're going to get a no pay due on October 15th, I would recommend that you go ahead and contact them now, figure out what the process is, and then figure out if you're eligible for that 0% interest loan. There are, bottom line, there's others, there's definitely others out there, other banks, and we'll talk about local banks here in a second too that are providing assistance. The recommendation that we would have is no matter who you bank with, reach out, because this is the federal government shutdown is partial government shutdown is affecting a lot of folks. So 9 times out of 10, your bank will have some sort of assistance available, and we'll talk about that with our local banks here and local bank assistance. So. Sorry, when I flip, I apologize if my mic went off there. So when I flip, it flip to the graphics automatically mutes the mic, and I have to remember to turn it back on there. So, so specific with financial assistance in our local banks. So one of those deals again kind of deals with our with current customers only. You have to have a relationship with that bank already to be able to get services through that bank. Most of our local banks that we've spoken with, they will do what's called like a loan payment deferral up to a certain period of time if you call your bank and ask them for a loan payment deferral. And they will also provide, they're not necessarily calling it a loan, but they're calling it an advancing line of credit, so a line of credit. Again, there's certain restrictions that apply to these. Sometimes they require a hard credit check. It may or may not. You need to call your bank for those specific details. Who I've personally talked to, in the area about what services are provided in this bank first. We've talked to, we got a note from the president of City National Bank. They are providing some resources, again, loan deferral, advancing line of credit, and then Fortsville Federal Credit Union. There are several other banks in the area too, like Liberty National Bank. Reached out to them. They're basically they are assisting their customers on a case-by-case basis. So, like and there's a lot of banks in the area that are doing that. So if you have, if you're not going to get a paycheck on the 15th and you're struggling, the recommendation is to go ahead and reach out to your local bank, call them and ask them what resources are available. Most banks will have loan payment deferral. Most banks will offer some type of credit line. May not be at 0%, but it may be a reduced percent. Again, there are some restrictions and limitations that apply for that.
Kind of makes me wonder now the difference between, say, the national banks and the local banks coverage. I know it's like probably maybe not much, but interesting to think about.
Are you talking about just kind of what they're able to offer?
Yeah.
I think it has to do, quite frankly, with the reach and financial resources available, and because I think banks obviously on varying degrees, smaller banks, smaller financial pool.
Yeah.
So
especially compared to national banks,
correct.
They can sometimes be harder to get in touch with. So local banks,
yeah,
a little bit easier.
I would say that. The national banks like USAA, Navy Federal Credit Union, PenFed, First Command, and a couple of the other national banks, obviously they're resourced, they're large banks, but you're right, like you can't probably beat the personal service of a local bank and local bankers, and that's what a lot of our local banks have been telling me right now, is that they are very much dealing with each one of these individually, and they'll provide personalized service. So, and a couple other things with local banks, right? So many banks are providing various services. The two things we really talked about: loan deferral and a advancing line of credit. Again, recommend calling your bank. And we talked about the fact that some of these, they may require, which is, I mean, it's not a good thing, but they may require a hard credit check or credit inquiry. So, next one I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to kind of kick it over to, I'm going to kick it over to Skylar to talk a few things specific to local services outside of like financial assistance. This one is actually pretty good here. Military Star Card relief. So the Military Star Card is a credit card that is offered to military service members and their families, and it's basically run by AAFES, the Army and Air Force Exchange Service, or the Exchange, which is, you know, the on-post stores for the Air Force and the Army. So they're offering 0% interest and no payments due for 90 days. So for commissary purchases. So the commissary, you can get a lot of goods at the commissary. Obviously, food and staples that you need, household sundry items. So basic needs items. It's all in the commissary. So if you, and the good thing about this one is it applies to new and existing Military Star credit card holders. So if you don't have a Military Star card, you can go online at that myecp.com website, and you can actually apply right now, and you can get this particular service. And you can get that 0% interest and no payment due for the next 90 days. So that would help. But yeah, so and again, this is for military service members, and it's really restricted to, again, military service members that have access to the PX. And now we're going to move on to a few things that Skylar's been working on. So Skylar, so you can kind of talk about what you've been working on locally here. We're going to talk about PSO first, but you can just, if you want to kind of talk an overview.
Gotcha. So I've been working on a lot of local resources since the beginning of October, since pretty much the beginning of this shutdown. Just yesterday, I actually got to talk to a spokesperson with PSO to just kind of find out more about the help to customers, including service members, federal employees, and even just people who, may just be down on their luck. Like, everybody goes through a hard time every once in a while. So with PSO, from what I learned, they have three main programs. So there's their payment extension program, and it's basically just kind of what it sounds like. You just get more time to pay your bill, which can be especially helpful if you're still waiting on your paycheck, say if you've been furloughed, or if you're working on a loan, or if you're trying to file for unemployment. If you're a federal worker, you can get more time on that payment. PSO will work with you on that, though you will have to call their customer support to see how long they'll work with you on that. And they also have a payment arrangement program, so that's kind of just more like a pay over time kind of deal. And you'll just kind of have some more time or just kind of a rate at which you pay, and you just kind of pay it over the course of a certain amount of time. And then there's Power Pay, which is pay as you go, so you kind of get a bill every single day, and so that way you can not only keep up with your bill better and see how much you're using on a daily basis, but you also just get to pay every day. It's maybe 10, 20, 15, depending on how much electricity you use, so you can really figure out just how much you're paying. Now, be sure to check out that website and that phone number on your screen. The PSO will give you a lot of good information about their assistance programs, especially their website. You can even find more assistance programs, like they have LIHEAP, information about LIHEAP. As far as I know, I'm not sure if LIHEAP is still taking applications. But if they are, I would definitely suggest that, because
that is LIHEAP. You're talking I don't have the acronym. Yeah, it's a low income energy assistance program. Mm-hmm. I'm tracking that. Yeah, I looked at that this morning. I don't think that there's an eligibility criteria on
Yes.
income requirement for an entire year or two, I think, for that. So I don't know if that would necessarily be in play. It wouldn't be in play for this. When you spoke with PSO, did they, because these three programs are always in place by PSO,
Yes.
correct?
So this is available to every single customer. So like I said, fiddle workers, service members, even if you're just kind of down on your luck and you might not be able to pay your bill
Okay.
or the normal amount on your bill, PSO will work with you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's flip to Summit. So you did talk to Summit. So Skylar talked with Summit yesterday. They released this quote basically saying, we offer several options for families facing financial hardship, including flexible payment arrangements and assistance programs designed to help customers manage their natural gas costs. So we encourage any customer who may be struggling, whether due to the federal government shutdown or other financial circumstances, to contact our customer service team. Our representatives are highly trained and can walk customers through what's available. So can you give us a little bit more on kind of what you found out with this?
So with Summit, I didn't really get a whole lot on their assistance programs. It's for their customers. You can go on their website and they will have all of those kind of listed. So Summit is mainly natural gas, meaning so if your house relies on gas for heating, cooking, maybe your boiler does, that is the big thing that Summit offers. So they do work with you. I'm thinking it might be similar to kind of what PSO offers, such as extended payment programs and assistance and all that stuff, as far as I know too. Yeah, so if you just call their customer support and check their website, there should be a pretty good bit of information. And like I said, this is available to all of their customers, not just service members, furloughed workers.
Yeah.
Just basically anyone. If you need some help with your utilities, they have some very good resources on their website, or if you just call that number.
Okay, let's go ahead and flip to just a few more things that are available in the service in the area. So let's talk Lawton Food Bank actually for a second, and we'll flip back this slide. So I'm going to pull up a different graphic here that comes up. Okay, can you talk this a little bit here?
Yeah, sure. So this is the Lawton Food Bank's food assistance for active duty service members and dependents. So basically their families, and it basically just entails extended hours for service members. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, like, oh, I've never been to a food bank before, or even if you have, you might not know what the eligibility requirements are. All you have to bring is your military ID.
Really? Okay.
For this. Yes, all you need to bring is your military
Okay.
ID. So don't worry about anything else. They are there to help you. And as for any requirements, etc., all they want you to do is just fill out an application, just start lining up along the street, and you'll be able to get some food assistance on October 13th between 2 and 4 p.m.
So in specifically with the Lawton Food Bank and the Wichita Falls Area Food Bank as well, so they've both come out and said that they're going to support military service members and their families with food insecurity during the government shutdown, with based off of no pay due. Some folks obviously live in paycheck to paycheck. The Lawton Food Bank specifically, I know, basically stated if depending on the length of the shutdown, they plan some additional events too, is what I'm tracking. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, just additional with extended hours. I know that 2 to 4 is probably going to be the norm, but again, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So those extended days, they really just depend. They're really dependent on whether the government shutdown continues or not. Though, keep in mind that you can always get assistance from the Lawton Food Bank. You don't
Correct.
Have to
You don't have to.
wait
Yeah,
for
I guess that's
service.
yeah. So that is a good point of clarification. The Lawton Food Bank is for anybody that
Yes.
needs food has
So
food
if you're
insecurity
hungry
food
right now,
assistance.
Go on down there.
So the Lawton Food Bank, located on Southwest Sheridan Road there. You got the address on the screen, 1819 Southwest Sheridan Road. And then if you look as well, we have Wichita Falls Area Food Bank down for our folks in Wichita Falls. You can call them. They didn't have a specific day that they were talking that I'm tracking. Also, can you talk a little bit about the Salvation Army?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Salvation Army actually has a lot of help for not only just service members, but just people in general, though I will try to keep focus on service members and furloughed workers. Salvation Army has, a food pantry, and that is pretty easy to access. I know that basically just call ahead. You can get help every 3 months from what I remember. And yeah, it's just a great way to get some food. They'll give you about a week's worth of groceries, depending on how much you and your family eat. And they'll give you frozen food, canned food, meat, just anything that you really need to feed your family. They also have payment assistance for your utilities, so that is something that you'll really have to follow the Salvation Army about ahead of time. And basically, they'll just help you pay your utilities, whatever you owe on your bill, whether it's power, whether it's gas.
Yeah.
Anything, basically.
So another one on here, too, that we're going to reach out to just to get a little bit more information that I know has provided assistance for people in need. That it's well known as Catholic Charities Regional Office here in Lawton, Fort Sill. We got their phone number on the screen there, and we're gonna reach out to them to kind of see what additional support they may be providing to those impacted by the federal government shutdown. So that's pretty much it for what we have today. I do want to point out a couple other things that we've been kind of researching here. So for this could be extremely stressful for individuals, right? Mental health wise. Yes. So I do want to point out, so Military One Source, if you are in the service, you know what I'm talking about when I say Military One Source. The Military One Source website. Military One Source actually has a plethora of information across the board. They also have different points of contact for free mental health resources as well. That leads me to my next point is that the military healthcare system is still up and running. TRICARE is still up and running. VA healthcare service and systems are still up and running. So if you're currently struggling at this point in time, there is assistance available, even on the mental health side. You're taking care of physical needs, obviously. We've tried to review that as much as possible, but there's also available if you're just this whole period of time is causing you to have extreme anxiety as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue to monitor this, and we'll update our article. Again, you can go to kswo.com. If you click on the military tab, we actually just published a refreshed article today with some additional resources, everything that we basically talked about today. So thanks for joining us, and I think we will, unless you, did I miss anything, Skylar? Are we good?
I don't think so.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. We certainly do appreciate you, and just as I said, stay tuned, and we'll continue to provide updates as we see them, as we get them.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.
All right, we're good.
Woo.